This happened to me about 2 years ago when I was working at this little diner in Bakersfield. My name's Jackson, and I was 23 at the time. Still am, actually, but whatever. The place was called Murphy's Diner, nothing fancy. Just burgers and coffee and pie that nobody ever ordered except this one old guy who came in every Tuesday. I'd been working there for about 8 months, mostly day shifts, but sometimes I had to close by myself on Thursdays. The manager, Carol, she had this thing where she'd leave early on Thursdays to pick up her kids from some after-school program, so it was just me doing everything. Turn off the ovens, dump the last pot of coffee that probably tasted like dirt anyway, count the register, dim the lights, lock up. Pretty standard stuff. That Thursday started normal enough. We had maybe 15 customers all day, which was actually busy for us. I remember this lady came in around lunch and ordered 3 chocolate milkshakes but didn't eat anything else. Just sat there drinking them one by one while staring out the window. People are weird, you know? Anyway, closing time rolled around and I went through my usual routine. The fryer was being a pain in the ass that night, kept clicking even after I turned it off. Made this weird ticking sound like a clock running backward. I kept looking at it, thinking it might catch fire or something. My dad always told me those old fryers were dangerous, but Carol never wanted to replace anything unless it completely died. I was counting the register when I heard this van pull up outside. Not unusual, really. We got delivery trucks sometimes, even late. But something about the engine sounded off, like it was running rough, needed a tune-up bad. I looked through the window and saw this white van, nothing written on the sides or anything, just plain white. This guy gets out wearing one of those delivery jackets, you know, the blue ones with reflective strips. He walked right up to the front door and started pounding on the glass. Not knocking, pounding, like he was trying to wake up the whole neighborhood. "Hey!" he yelled through the glass. "I got a delivery here!" I walked over but kept the door locked. Something felt wrong about the whole thing. Maybe it was because his jacket looked too new. Or maybe because he was pounding instead of just knocking like a normal person. "We're closed," I said through the glass. "What delivery?" He pulled out this clipboard and started talking really fast. My manifest shows a last-minute order for Murphy's Diner. GPS had me driving around for 20 minutes trying to find this place. System glitched out on me. He even rattled off some order number, something like MDP 4471 or whatever. The thing is, he knew our vendor name, Romano's Food Supply. That's who we actually used for most of our stuff. But his voice sounded too practiced, like he'd rehearsed this whole speech. Too calm for someone who'd been driving around lost for 20 minutes. "I need to see some ID," I said, "and the actual delivery slip." He waved this damp piece of paper at me through the glass. "Manager keeps all the IDs in the office, right?" That's what most places do. How would he know what most places do? And why was the paper wet? Then he did something that made my skin crawl. He tried the front door handle, just reached down and tested it, like he was checking if I'd forgotten to lock it. When that didn't work, he walked over to the emergency exit door and pushed on that push bar. Not hard, just testing it, like he was figuring out which door would be easiest to get through. That's when I backed away from the window and locked the front door again, even though it was already locked. My hands were shaking a little, which pissed me off because I didn't want to look scared. I pulled out my phone and called Carol. It rang 4 times before she picked up. "Carol, there's this delivery guy here, but something's not right about him." "Delivery? We don't have any deliveries scheduled for tonight. Romano's comes Tuesday and Friday, you know that. Tell him to come back tomorrow during business hours. I don't think he's actually a delivery guy. He's testing the doors and acting weird." I heard Carol sigh and some kids yelling in the background. Probably her twins fighting over something stupid. "Just don't let him in and call the cops if he doesn't leave. I can't deal with this right now, Jackson. Soccer practice ran late and I still haven't started dinner." The line went dead and I realized the guy had disappeared from the front window. I couldn't see him anywhere, couldn't hear his footsteps on the gravel. For a second I thought maybe he'd given up and left, but then I heard footsteps on gravel coming around the side of the building toward the employee entrance. That door was stronger than the front one, solid metal with a deadbolt, but it was also hidden from the street. Nobody driving by would see what happened back there. The tire shop closed at 6, and the check cashing place had bars on all their windows anyway. I ran into the office and pushed Carol's desk chair behind the door. It wasn't much, but it made me feel a little safer. I dialed 911, but instead of getting an operator, the line just clicked and went dead. I tried again. Same thing. Click, dead. My phone had full bars, so it wasn't a signal problem. Maybe he was blocking it somehow. I don't know how that stuff works, but it scared the hell out of me. I could hear him at the side door now, trying the handle, then something else. A scraping sound, like metal on glass. I peeked through the office window and saw him trying to pry something near the door frame with what looked like a putty knife or something flat like that. He worked quietly, methodically. Left this shallow crescent-shaped scratch in the glass before he stopped. Then, just like that, he walked back to his van and drove away. Like nothing had happened. Didn't speed off or anything, just drove normal, like he was heading home from work. I stayed in that office for another hour before I felt safe enough to leave. Kept calling 911, but the line stayed dead until around midnight, then suddenly it worked again. The cops came and took a report, but there wasn't much they could do. Guy was gone. Van was gone. They said they'd patrol the area, but that was about it. I thought that was the end of it. But around 3 in the morning, I got a call from Officer Martinez. "That van you reported?" We found it parked 2 blocks away on Riverside Avenue. Driver was gone, but a neighbor saw someone going through pockets of people waiting at the bus stop around midnight. Weird thing is, the van's been sitting there for hours, like he ditched it and walked away. That gave me chills. Why would he dump the van so close by? A week later, Carol called me in early. "Jackson, you need to see this. The police brought some stuff by this morning." She was standing by her computer in the office, looking pale and kind of shaky. She'd pulled our security footage from that night, the cameras we had covering the parking lot and the side door. The quality wasn't great, but you could clearly see the guy testing the doors and working with his little pry tool. But that wasn't what made Carol look sick. The police had found something else. The guy had been looking at my Instagram account. I'm not big on social media, but I posted pictures sometimes. Work stuff mostly, nothing too personal. Just stupid things like another late night at Murphy's, or pictures of weird food orders. Carol showed me printouts of my posts from the weeks before. Someone had printed them out and drawn on them with a black Sharpie. One photo showed me cleaning tables late at night, and I'd tagged it with "closing solo again" like an idiot. Next to it, someone had circled my face and written "Works alone Thursdays" in messy handwriting. Another photo from 2 weeks earlier, me taking out trash, had "employee entrance" written in the margin with an arrow. My stomach dropped. This wasn't random. He'd been planning this for weeks, maybe longer. Studying my routine, learning when I worked alone, figuring out which door would be easiest to get through. The police took it more seriously after that. Turned out this guy had tried similar stuff at like 30 other small businesses around Kern County. Always the same thing. Fake delivery, testing doors, targeting places where one person worked alone. They got him on trespassing and stalking charges, but who knows what he would have done if he'd actually gotten inside somewhere. Carol installed better locks after that, and a panic button that goes straight to the police station. But I stopped posting anything about work on social media. Hell, I barely post anything anymore. Sometimes I still think about that night, how he knew exactly what to say, how he tested those doors like he'd done it 100 times before. Makes me wonder how many other people he watched before he picked his targets. I don't work late shifts alone anymore. Carol makes sure there's always 2 people closing now. But every time I see a white van, even during the day, I get this weird feeling in my chest. Like he's still out there somewhere watching and waiting for the next person who works alone on Thursdays.